Okay, welcome to the second video. Now in this video we're going to start out the actual soldering process. A couple of things you need to be aware of though to begin with. Now because all of the components look the same from person to person and project to project, you have to make sure that you take great care with your components. Okay, there are enough components in the bag to make your MP3 docking station work. But if you lose any of those parts, then it won't work, okay? Now, it's very, very easy if you lay all your parts out on the desk for somebody to accidentally think it's their part or for you to accidentally knock something on the floor. And in both of those cases, you're not going to have a circuit board that works, okay? So, the top tip from me is that you only take the parts out of the bag that you want to actually solder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the PCB, the printed circuit board, which is this thing here. I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to start with my smallest components, the resistors. Okay, now I'm going to take out all three. Okay, now you'll find that the components, the resistors have different values, which we'll learn about in the lesson. But just hold those up. So there are a set of components, resistors that come in twos. This one here. And a resistor on its own. You'll notice there are different colour rings around each. Now, if your pair kind of gets separated, it's easy enough to recognise. You have a gold, two black, and a red strip. And on the single, you have a gold, a purple, a red. Sorry, a yellow, a purple, a red, and then a gold. Okay. Now, guys, if you look at your circuit board, you'll notice that it's very clearly labelled for us to help us get all the bits in the right parts. We've got input, power, speaker, R1, R2, R3, etc. Okay, now R1, R2, R3 relates to the resistors. Okay, so that gives us a clue as to where to put these parts. Now the element with the resistor with the gold, the yellow, the purple, and the red, excuse me, which is this one, needs to go into R1. Okay, now what you need to do is do this as neatly and as accurately as possible. You'll notice that on the green side of the circuit board that doesn't have any silver connectors, i.e. the top, this bit here is where the component needs to go, and just at the bottom, which has the silver connectors, that's where you're going to solder. Okay, so I'm going to carefully put this resistor into R1. Push it down as close to the circuit board as I can get, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the circuit board over, and I'm going to bend the legs of that resistor back. Okay, now that means the resistor is not going to fall out. I'm going to place that down on the bench. Now at this point you have to appreciate that I've got a camera right in front of me, so it's going to be quite difficult for me to solder. So I'm going to lean over that camera. Now I'm going to start by soldering. Before I start though, I just want to show you the tip of the soldering iron. This is known as a chisel tip. Okay, so you can see there's quite a sharp angle in there. And before I start soldering anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub the soldering iron along the damp sponge to clean any excess solder off. And then I'm going to do something known as tinning the tip. So I'm going to tip my strip of solder. I'm just going to place it on the end. Okay. So you'll notice some smoke coming off the end of the soldering iron, and you will have noticed there was a tiny bit of spitting as well. So that's why we cover the desk. Okay. So if I can, I'll try to get in as close as I can, guys. See if I can hold this up. Position that against there just to help you see. See if I can zoom in. Okay. What I'm going to do, ladies, is I'm just going to place my soldering iron on the connector where the wire and the connector touch. And then I'm going to gently just feed in a small amount of solder. Okay, if I keep on pushing the solder in, obviously I'm going to get a big glob of solder, and that's really not what we want. It needs to be nice and neat and accurate, and we have to make sure that the solder doesn't spread from one connector to another. So let's place that in. Oops. There we go. Nice and neat. I'm going to clean off any excess solder, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Clearly the solder is going to be hot, so I'm going to be very careful when I pick this up. And then with the excess wire that I'll no longer need, I'm just going to trim that off. Okay. and there's my first component soldered into the board. Now I'm not going to show you how to do the other two resistors, they're exactly the same, so I'm going to do those off camera, and then we'll move to the IC chip.